Hey, you're listening to the wrong podcast. Topics today include hopping, hijacking, and hypochondria.
Wrong!
It's the wrong podcast, but we'll make it right. Spinning the world in a whole new light. Witty, wild, and a little askew, and the one who's right, it might be you.
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm here to talk about politics, culture, religion, sports, and anything else you're not allowed to talk about in polite company. Issue number 1! Get froggy! There's a metaphor. I'm sure you've heard the metaphor. If you want to kill a frog, you don't throw the frog in a pot of boiling water. If you do that, the frog will jump right out of the pot. What you do instead is you put the frog in the pot and you slowly turn up the heat until the water boils, and then the frog will die. And it turns out that this metaphor is totally wrong. The metaphor is not wrong, but the story that the metaphor is based on is totally wrong. This is not how to kill a frog. Frogs will not, in fact, die. They will not remain in the pot while you turn up the temperature. Eventually, it will get too hot, and the frog will jump out. And if you threw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it would probably kill the frog because the water is boiling. The water, it's boiling, it's hot. It would burn the frog. And the big problem with this whole thing is that the metaphor is too good to let go of. It's too good. It describes exactly what we want to describe. That people will put up with stuff and it will get worse and worse, and they'll just continue to put up with it because it's incrementally getting worse. And it's such a good metaphor. We really just need to train frogs to die by boiling water so that the metaphor can be true, because it is so good. It describes so many things so well. I looked for another metaphor. Is there another metaphor that we can use that describes this kind of thing that would work for us? The best I could come up with was Dust Bowl farming. In the first part of the 20th century, people they moved to Oklahoma. They started farming in this Midwest, southwestern territory. And that's the thing about Oklahoma. Is it the Midwest? Is it the Southwest? Is it Texas? Is it the Great Plains? Yes, it's all of those things. And it's also none of those things. So anyway, people go to Oklahoma and they start farming. They till up all the topsoil. They start growing wheat. The wheat goes bonkers. They grow tons of wheat. Price of wheat is great. Everybody's doing great. And then the rains stop coming. And the ground dries up. And they have pulled up all of the roots on the topsoil. The roots on wheat don't go that deep, and they pulled up all the wheat. So the topsoil is all sitting there, ready to just turn into dust because there's no roots. It erodes very quickly. And the farmers, they're convinced the rain's eventually going to come. So they till up what's left of the dirt. They go even deeper on the soil, and they replant their wheat, and the rain doesn't come. And they say, okay, one more time, let's go a little bit deeper. And the rain doesn't come. And all of the dirt turns into dust. The land is uninhabitable. It is impossible to farm it because they have destroyed it by remaining there and continuing to do the same thing over and over again, despite the circumstances. Now, Oklahoma is doing much better these days. People left, and then that allowed the soil to repair itself. The rain eventually came. Modern farming techniques have totally helped. Rotating crops, things like that. But that doesn't solve the problem of the frog in the pot. The best I can suggest is that we all start talking about Dust Bowl farming. But if you have another idea, I would love to hear it. Please. And I know the one about the wolf licking the knife in Alaska, and unfortunately it's not real. That somebody made that thing up. Not true. Don't bother. Issue number 2! Look what you made me do! I was watching this thing about this girl in Michigan. She was 13 years old. She had a boyfriend. They start getting hundreds of text messages, both she and her boyfriend, and they are vile. Extremely vile. Sexually explicit, telling the girl that she needs to die, that she needs to kill herself, suggesting ways she could kill herself, calling her a slut. And these text messages, they're not just a couple of days or a couple of weeks. They go on for 21 months. Almost 2 years. The families, they go to the police. They report this. The boy and the girl, they eventually break up. The boy starts seeing a girl in a town several hours away. That girl starts getting text messages. Just messed up. And I can't repeat some of the things said in these text messages, but sexually explicit. That's the only thing I can say. Directed to a 13-year-old. And the suicide suggestions, just gross, just awful. Well, the FBI eventually gets involved, and they're able to track down an IP address that these text messages are coming from. For many of them are coming from. And it turns out they're coming from the girl's house. And it was the mother who was sending these text messages to her own daughter. The mother. And the police ignored any evidence that it might be the mother because this is unthinkable. Nobody wants to know that a mother is doing this to her own daughter. And when they figure out it's the mother confesses. They've got multiple devices that she was using, this app that changes your phone number. And she explained that her daughter started to get these text messages and she wanted to get to the bottom of it. So she started sending these text messages to her daughter, hoping that her daughter or her boyfriend would say, "Oh, hey, is this so-and-so? Why are you doing this? Why are you still doing this?" And they never did that. But she continued to do this for 21 months. 99% of the text messages came from her own mother. And the best anybody could figure was that this was an example of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Now, of all the psychological disorders, by far, I'm going to say it a third time, by far, this is the best name for a psychological disorder. They've all got great names, the best names. Nobody could do the names better, but Munchausen syndrome by proxy is the best one. It has to be. That's what all the people are saying. Why does it have such a weird name? The idea is that, before I should explain, what is this syndrome? The idea is that a caregiver, usually a mother, almost every time this has happened, it's been the mother. A mother likes to get the attention that she's receiving from a sick child. So she makes her child sick, or she injures her child somehow, so that she can feel good about helping the child, or that she likes the feeling that she gets with people feeling bad for her that her child is so sick or so hurt. And so this person, this parent, will intentionally inflict harm on their own child. And it got its weird name. It was named after a real person named Baron von Munchausen. And Munchausen, he was a real person, but somebody took him and who he was and distorted him into a fictional character. And this fictional character told all kinds of fantastic stories about adventures he went on, and they got bigger and bigger, and they were totally unbelievable. But Munchausen, in the stories, he would tell them as if they actually happened. He believed they were true. He told a story about riding on top of a cannonball. He told a story about fighting a 40-foot crocodile. And later on in the mid 20th century, somebody came up with the term Munchausen syndrome to describe a hypochondriac, somebody who was seeking attention by having medical ailments, liked to go to the doctor, liked to get the attention of the doctor because they were always sick. They always had something wrong with them. And in 1977, this British doctor named Roy Meadows, he saw two different examples. He was a pediatrician. He saw two different examples of women hurting their own children. And he took the idea of Munchausen syndrome and he said, well, this is happening through somebody else. They're looking for attention through somebody else. That's by proxy. And thus you have the term Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And almost always when someone has Munchausen syndrome by proxy, they actually have some other psychological condition underneath all of it. They have some personality disorder that's going along with it. And the irony of Meadows coming up with this term is that it's never been formalized. It actually doesn't exist as a psychological disorder. It exists as something that happens, but it can't actually be diagnosed in anyone. And Meadows came up with the term. He became a big proponent of the term, and he started getting called to be an expert witness for cases against women who had murdered their children or severely harmed their children. And one woman in particular, she was convicted of killing 2 children, and Meadows said there's a 1 in 72 million chance of 2 babies dying of unexplained chances. There is no other explanation than Munchausen syndrome by proxy. That clearly must be what the case is here with the death of these 2 children. That woman was sentenced to life in prison, and it turned out that both children had staph infections that got into their spinal cords. And there was a medical explanation, and nobody had discovered that there was a medical explanation. And Meadows kind of made up this stat out of thin air. He didn't account for all sorts of things. And some statistical bureau went through it and they're like, well, actually, it could be like a 1 in 200 chance that something like this happens. It's still rare. 1 in 200 is you might have run into it at some point in your life. That's how not rare it is, as opposed to 1 in 72 million. And it turned out that more than in one situation, Meadows had sent innocent people to prison through his expert testimony. And the big problem with this diagnosis that he came up with is that it's all about motive. He's assigning motive to what these parents are doing and why they're doing it. And the best a doctor can do is describe what happened. How was the child harmed, and not why was the child harmed. The doctor can say this child was starved, or this child was beaten, or this child was poisoned. But the motive of why the parent was doing these things, that's outside of the doctor's expertise, particularly a pediatrician. He's not a psychologist. And so, once again, we have a situation where the description is too good to let go of. Just like with the frog in the pot, you can't let go of the metaphor. This description of this condition where parent hurts a child for attention, it actually happens, it's real, but it's not something we can medically diagnose in anybody. We can just say it's this kind of situation. It's a Munchausen syndrome by proxy situation. Hey, it's time. What are the rules?
Oh, what are the rules? What are the rules? Don't touch my fries or my garden tools. Oh, what are the rules? Yeah, I got my quirks. Follow them closely and I promise it works.
I want to know, what's the last point in the year where you can say Happy New Year to somebody? Where has it gone too far? Is it March? Is it April? Is it September? I posed this question to my friend at church, Dan, and a couple of weeks ago, he totally surprised me. It was September, and he said, Happy New Year. And it totally made me laugh because it was a callback to a conversation we had had 9 months earlier. And I said, you win. I don't think anybody's ever going to beat this. And the joke is, how late can you say Happy New Year to somebody? Is it just you haven't seen them since the New Year started, so you can say it to them, but you can only say it once? Or can you keep saying it? We don't have a clear rule about when to stop saying Happy New Year. And that's why I say Dan's the winner. Remember, I want to know what's wrong with you.
What's wrong with you?
If you'd like to submit a question, topic, or tell me how I was wrong, or wish me a Happy New Year, you can email me at listen@thewrongpodcast.com or submit a comment at my website, thewrongpodcast.com. And help me spread the wrong message. If you like what you hear, share it with your friends. Now it's time for my favorite part of the show. I was wrong.
I was wrong. Oh, I was wrong.
Listener Chandra.
I finished the episode of the Bama podcast I was listening to as I was arriving to work, and Apple Podcasts started playing a new one. I don't know how it picks which one. It happened to be an episode of your podcast, and apparently the volume of yours is set much higher than Bama's. Quite startling to just hear you shout, "Wrong!" at a deafening volume.
Sorry about that, Chandra. My apologies, or are they? Are they? I actually don't mind that story at all, not one bit. It's not my intention to have an enhanced volume on any of your podcast player applications. My apologies. I don't think it's me as much as it might be the Bama podcast, though. Could be wrong. If other of you are experiencing me coming in at a much stronger tone than other podcasts, please let me know. Or I could just start recording everything like this. Issue number 3, jerry-rigged. I don't know if you heard this, but a couple of months ago, the Republicans in Texas, they decided that they wanted to give Donald Trump some more House votes. They wanted to give him more representation in the House of Representatives, and they were going to redraw their election maps to favor Republicans. And this is something that happens every 10 years in every state. We get new census numbers. Based on the census numbers, we decide where people have moved to and where they moved from and who gets more representation. And the states get to decide how their lines are drawn. And the minute you allow politicians, or anybody really, to draw the lines of where the representation is going to be, who gets to vote in which district, things are going to get funky. People are going to start fiddling with them. And this has been something that has existed in the United States since the United States began. Early in our country's existence, this guy in Massachusetts, his name was Governor Eldridge Gerry. He figured out that he could help his political party by redrawing the maps. And he redrew the maps in such a weird way that people noticed that some of these maps look like a salamander. And thus was born the term gerrymandering. It was a combination of his name, Governor Gerry, plus salamander, and we got gerrymander. Now you notice the G's are different. It's like the G in GIF or GIF. For some reason, we settled on gerrymandering, even though his name was pronounced Gary. But it's spelled the same way. So they mashed up his name. They smashed his name with salamander. We got gerrymandering. And this is a time-honored tradition in American politics. Everybody gerrymanders. It is 100% legal, and it is 100% gross. And everybody does it, and everybody responds to the other side doing it by doing it more, and I hate it. And there's no good solution for it. It will always exist to some extent. You can't eradicate it entirely. Texas did something a little bit different this time. They said, hey, we're not going to wait 10 years like we're supposed to redraw these maps. President Trump needs more votes in the House of Representatives, so we're going to just do it right now. So that in the next election, he can have more Republicans in the House of Representatives. And when the news of this came out, it didn't feel right. The lovely Wendy, she actually said to me, this doesn't feel legal. And it is. That's what's so surprising. It's 100% legal. They are allowed to do this. They didn't do anything illegal. And how it's not illegal, I don't know. I don't, and maybe nobody wants to make it illegal. None of the politicians want to make it illegal because they know how to work the system for their own benefit. And also, you can't 100% eradicate it. In California, we've tried to eradicate it. We have said that politicians are not allowed to draw the boundaries. Instead, we have this unelected, nonpartisan board. It's made up of a certain number of Democrats and Republicans, and they draw the lines. And Governor Newsom, here in California, he saw what Texas was doing, and he said, oh, we got to fix this. California can fix this. We can gerrymander ourselves. And the problem is that he's not allowed to redraw the boundaries because we have this non-elected commission that draws the boundaries. And it's in our state constitution that the politicians are not allowed to draw the boundaries. And so Governor Newsom said, well, it's in the Constitution. That's going to be a problem. Not for me. I'll just put a ballot initiative out and we'll have people vote on it. We'll have people say, hey, we want politicians to redraw our lines. We'll just yank it right out of the Constitution and we'll let politicians do it. And because everybody hates Donald Trump, they'll totally go for it. So here we go. So he put a proposition out that if Texas does this, then California will get rid of its commission and redraw the boundary lines. And I posted something on Facebook about this. And my friend Paul, he said, you posted something on Facebook that made me so angry. And I said, okay, what was it? I'm not surprised that I posted something that made somebody angry. I was a little bit surprised that I had made Paul angry. And Paul said, you posted that thing on Prop 50, and I was going to vote for it, and now I can't. And here's what I said. I said, democracy is under threat from gerrymandering, so we need to gerrymander even harder. And he got the gist of what I was saying. If it's wrong for Texas to gerrymander, then it is wrong for California to gerrymander. And you can't fix the problem of gerrymandering by gerrymandering even more. That just creates more of the same problem. The big problem with gerrymandering is it disenfranchises your own voters. It tells people in your state, hey, if you don't agree with the bulk of us, if you don't agree with at least 50% of us, if we have 50% plus one, we're going to take all the power from you and make sure that you never get anything you want. You might as well stop voting because you have no power here. That is disenfranchising voters. That's exactly what happens when you gerrymander. Particularly when you gerrymander to this extent. And so Texas is disenfranchising Democratic voters. And I hate that that's happening to Democratic voters. I am a conservative. I am a Republican. It's happening here in California to me. I cannot be happy about it happening to me. It hurts me. It makes my vote worth less. It makes everybody's vote worth less, really, not just Republicans. And sure, if you're a Democrat, you can be thrilled. You're going to get your own way. And sure, if you're a Republican in Texas, you can be happy you're getting your own way. But you're hurting your fellow citizens. And I have this ethic. I don't know where I got it from, but it's just this life calling that I feel like I need to align my life to, and that is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I don't want Democrats gerrymandering over me here in California. And therefore, I do not want Republicans gerrymandering over Democrats in Texas, though I might strongly disagree with those Democrats in Texas about a huge host of things. I don't want that to happen to them because I don't want it to happen to me. And the big thing that I hear from people is, no, you just don't understand what time it is. You don't understand the time. The time we're living in is not a time for norms and for playing nice and for playing fair. We have to do whatever we have to do to get things done. And I hear both sides saying that exact thing, and it is the road to destruction. The road to normality is to follow the rules. It's to be ethical. It's to develop a strong system and stay within the rules of that system. If you can call anything a crisis, everything will be a crisis, and it will be worth disregarding the rules. Eventually, well, why should we vote at all? Really, we can't trust the voters. The times are too tough. There's too much chaos in the season. We've got to take the vote away from people. We know what we're doing. We know it's going to be fine. We're going to do the right thing. Let's take the vote away from people just so there's no wiggle room about this. And the other thing they'll say about Prop 50 here in California that is gerrymandering over me is that it's temporary. It's going to go away. And I just have to say, be wary of anyone. Be wary of anyone who says that the erosion of our rights or the rule of law is just temporary. It's always temporary until it isn't. This brings me to another thing that I hate about California politics. I'm sure I've talked about this before. If I haven't, I'm glad to talk about it again. I will talk about it every election season, probably for the rest of my life. And we have this thing here. California was created with the idea that direct democracy was a really good idea. So we have these ballot initiatives where you can put anything on the ballot, and if you get 50% of the vote, then it passes. And it blows my mind that we can rewrite the state constitution with a 50% vote. The Constitution can be rewritten with a 50% vote. What the heck? The reason I have a problem with it is because voters are dumb. I say that as a voter. The general populace, it's so easy to sway them with propaganda and advertising. You put enough money into advertising and you tell enough people that this is about protecting children and that this is a crisis that has to be stopped, and you can get almost anything passed. We almost had a ballot initiative pass that would let all kinds of murderers out because one murderer in the state prisons had a rich father who wanted to amend the parole system so he could get his son out. And he put enough money into it that it nearly passed. It was at the last second. Everybody's like, wait, what does this thing say? And it was barely defeated. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I don't understand how these things can go up for people to vote on with nothing but 50%. If you want to put a state vote on it, and you can change the Constitution, the threshold better be more than 50% plus 1. It better be something like 66% or 75%. So this initiative, it already passed in Texas. It's gonna pass here in California. They're running ads all the time. All the big shot Democrats are coming out to support it. I think ads featuring Barack Obama even are starting to run about how it's the right thing to do to stop Donald Trump. We have to put this in the hands of the voters. And I just have to say, there's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that describes my attitude about it. Now is always the right time to do what is right. Unless you think I'm just here to complain and be angry about everything, that is not what this show is about.
Wrong!
This show is not about just raging at things that I think are wrong.
Wrong!
No, I've got actual solutions to this one. Here's the first solution. The first solution is what California already has in place. Independent commissions that draw the boundaries. We've got the solution right here and we're getting rid of it. That's what drives me bonkers. The other thing, now that's not a perfect solution, because everybody on that commission, they're politically aware, they've got their own motivations, and it's not going to work perfectly. But another thing that is going to help greatly is to increase the number of representatives in the House of Representatives. We need more congressmen. That's right, we need more politicians. It used to be that they would create more seats in the House based on the population. So as the population grows, there's more congressmen. We were supposed to have more access to our congressmen. About 80 years ago, they changed that and they said, no, we've got enough politicians. We don't need more politicians. We need just this many politicians for the rest of time. And the population can grow. That's okay. The number of congressmen will remain the same. And if we went back to the old system of having more congressmen based on our population, it would be harder to divide up the districts. It'd be harder to divide up the voters in a way that favored the politicians or favored the ruling party in each state. More congressmen would make it harder to dilute the vote into gerrymandered districts. It'd be harder to do. There'd be less people to work with. And you would have more access to your congressman. You might have actually had a conversation with this person. The other thing it would fix, and this is just a bonus, the other thing it would fix is the Electoral College. Right now, the Electoral College favors small states with small populations because it gives them more votes than they should have based on their population size. Wyoming could have 10 people in it. There could be a toxic nuclear dump in the entire state of Wyoming that leaves 10 people. And those 10 people would get 2 senators and 1 congressman. They would get 3 votes, even though there's only 10 of them. This is totally unfair to states like Texas and New York and California. If you increase how many congressmen you have, you increase the electoral votes. And large states get more representation in the Electoral College. But I could be wrong. If you think I am, let me know. Let me know why. I had fun and I hope you did too. Bye-bye.
It might be you. It's the wrong podcast.